Okay, this is Hasana back again with the second part of the video that I meant to record uh, today. Okay, I'm sorry, I'm trying to turn the volume up. Okay, there we go. Okay, so we left off uh, the Hallelujah scriptures earlier today. Um, we were in Genesis chapter 24, I think, verse 35 is where I left off. So we're going to go right in with verse 36. And Sarah, my master's wife, bore a son to my master after she was old, and he has given to him all that he has. And my master made me swear, saying, do not take a wife for my son from the daughters of the Canaanites, in whose land I dwell, but go to my father's house and to my relatives, and take a wife for my son. And I said to my master, what if the woman does not follow me? But he said to me, Yah, for whom I walk, sends his messenger with you, and shall prosper your way, and you shall take a wife for my son from my relatives and from my father's house. Then, when you go to my relatives, you are to be released from this oath. And if they do not give her to you, then you are released from my oath. And this day I came to the fountain and said, Yah of my master Abraham, please, if you are prospering the way in which I am going, see, I am standing by the fountain of water. And when the maiden comes out to draw water, and I say to her, please give me a little water from your jar to drink, and she says to me, drink, and let me draw for your camels too. Let her be the woman whom Yah has appointed for my master's son. I had no I had not yet ended speaking in my heart, then see Ribkah was coming out with her jar on her shoulder. And she went down to the fountain and drew water. And I said to her, please let me drink. And she hurried and let her jar down from her shoulder, and said, drink, and let me water your camels too. So I drank, and she watered the camels too. And I asked her and said, whose daughter are you? And she said, the daughter of Bethuel, Nahor's son, whom Milcah bore to him. Then I put the nose ring on her nose and the bracelets on her wrists, and I bowed my head and worshipped Yah and Barak Yah of my master Abraham, who had led me in the true way to take the daughter of my master's brother for his son. And now, if you are going to show kindness and truth to my master, I. And now, if you're going to show kindness and truth to my master, let me know. And if not, let me know, so that I turn to the right or to the left. And Laban answered Bethuel too, and said, the matter comes from Yah. We are not able to speak to you, either evil or good. See, Ribkah is before you. Take her and go, and let her be your master's son's wife, as Yah has spoken. And it came to be, when Abraham's servant heard their words, that he bowed himself towards the earth before Yah. And the servant brought out ornaments of silver, and ornaments of gold, and ornaments, and gave them to Ribkah. He also gave costly gifts to her brother and to her mother. And he and the men who were with him ate and drank and spent the night. When they rose in the morning, he said, let me go to my master. But her brother and her mother said, let the young woman stay with us a few days, at least 10, then you go. And he said to them, do not delay me, since Yah has prospered my way. Let me go, so that I go to my master. And they said, let us call the young woman and ask her. So they asked Ribkah and said to her, are you going with this man? And she said, I shall go. So they let go Ribkah, their sister, and and her nurse, and Abraham's servant and his men. And they brought Ribkah and said to her, let our sister become the mother of thousands of 10,000s, and let your seed possess the gates, and those who hate them. And Ribkah and her young women arose, and they rode on the camels and followed the man. So the servant took Ribkah and left, and Yishak came from the way of Beer Lahai Roy, for he dwelt in Negev. And Yishak went out to meditate in the field in the evening, and he lifted his eyes and looked and saw the camels coming. And Ribkah lifted her eyes, and when she saw Yishak, she dismounted from her camel. And she said to the servant, "Who is this man walking in the field to meet us?" And the servant says, "It is my master." So she took a veil and covered herself. And the servant told Yishak all the matters he had done. And Yishak brought her into his mother Sarah's tent. And he took Ribkah, and she became his wife, and he loved her. Thus Yishak was comforted after his mother's death. And Abraham took another wife. Chapter 25. And Abraham took another wife, whose name was Keturah, and she bore him Zimran, and Yokshan, and Medan, and Midian, and Yishbak, and Shaweh. And Yokshan brought forth Sheba and Dedan, and the sons of Dedan were Asherim, and Letushan, and Leuman. And the sons of Midian were Ifha, and Ipher, and Hanok, and Abida, and Odaa. Forgive my mispronunciation. These were the children of Keturah. Now Abraham gave all that he had to Yishak, but to the sons of the concubines whom Abraham had, Abraham gave gifts while he was still living, and sent them away from his son Yishak eastward to the land of the east. And these are all the years of Abraham's life, which he lived, 175 years. And Abraham breathed his last and died in a good old age, aged and satisfied, and was gathered to his people. And his sons Yishak and Ishmael buried him in the cave of Machpelah, which is before Mamre, in the field of Ephron, son of Tesohar the Hittite, the field which Abraham purchased from the sons of Heth. There Abraham was buried with Sarah his wife. And it came to be after the death of Abraham that Yah barak his sons Yishak and Yashak dwelt in Beer Lahai Roy. And this is the genealogy of Ishmael, Abraham's son, whom Hagar the Mizraite, Sarah's female servant, bore to Abraham. And these were the names of the sons of Ishmael by their names according to their generations. The firstborn of Ishmael, Nebaioth, then Kedar, then Adbeel, and Mibzam, and Mishma, and Duma, and Massa, Hadad, and Tema, Yetur, Nephesh, and Kedemah. These were the sons of Ishmael, and these were their names by their towns and their settlements, 12 chiefs according to their tribes. And these were the years of the life of Ishmael, 137 years. 137 years. And he breathed his last and died, and was gathered to his people. And they dwelt from HalleluYah as far as Shur, which is east of Mizraim, as you go toward Ashur. He settled before all his brothers. And this is the genealogy of Yishak, Abraham's son. Abraham brought forth Yitzchak. And Yitzchak was 40 years old when he took Ribkah as wife, the daughter of Bethuel, the Aramean of Padan Aram, the sister of Laban the Aramean. And Yitzchak prayed to Yah for his wife because she was barren, and Yah answered his prayer, and Ribkah, his wife, conceived. And within her the children struggled together, and she said, "If all is right, why am I this way?" So she went to ask Yah, and Yah said to her, "Two nations are in your womb, and two peoples shall be separated from your body, and one people shall be stronger than the other, and the older shall serve the younger." And when the days were filled for her to give birth, and see, twins were in her womb. And the first came out reddish all over, like a hairy garment. So they called his name Esau. And afterward his brother came out in his hand with his hand holding on to Esau's heel, so they called his name Yaakov. And Yishak was 60 years old when she bore them. And the boys grew up, and Esau became a man knowing how to hunt, a man of the field, while Yaakov was a complete man dwelling in tents. And Yishak loved Esau because he ate of his wild game, but Rivkah loved Yaakov. And Yaakov cooked a stew, and Esau came in from the field, and he was weary. And Esau said to Yaakov, please feed me with that same red stew, for I am weary. That is why his name is called Edom. Yet Yaakov said, sell me your birthright today. And Esau said, look, I am going to die, so why should I have the birthright? Then Yaakov said, swear to me today. And he swore to him and sold his birthright to Yaakov. Yaakov then gave Esau bread and stewed lentils, and he ate and drank and rose up and left. Thus Esau despised his birthright, gave away his heritage for some beans. Okay, chapter 26. And there was a scarcity of food in the land, besides the first scarcity of food which was in the days of Abraham. And Yitzchak went to Abimelech, sovereign of the Pelishtites in Gerar. And Yah appeared to him and said, do not go down to Mitzrayim. Live in the land which I command you. Sojourn in this land, and I shall be with you and barak you. And I give all these lands to you and your seed. And I shall establish the oath which I swore to Abraham your father. And I shall increase your seed like the stars of the Shamaim. And I shall give all these lands to your seed. And in your seed all the nations of the earth shall be barak, because Abraham obeyed my voice and guarded my charge, my commands, my laws, and my statutes, and my Torah. My charge, my commands, my laws, and my Torah. And Yishak dwelt in Gerar. And when the men of the place asked about his wife, he said, she is my sister, for he was afraid to say, she is my wife, lest the men of the place should kill me for Rivkah, because she is good looking. And it came to be, when he had been there a long time, that Abimelech, sovereign of the Pelishites, looked through the window, and he watched and saw Yishak playing with Rivkah his wife. So Abimelech called Yishak and said, see, truly she is your wife. So how could you say she is my sister? And Yishak said to him, because I said, lest I die on account of her. And Abimelech said, what is this you have done to us? One of the people had almost lain with your wife, and you would have brought guilt on us. And Abimelech commanded all his people, saying, he who touches this man or his wife shall certainly be put to death. And Yishak sowed in that land, and reaped in the same year 100-fold. And Yah barak him. And the man grew great, and went forward until he became very great. And he came to have possessions of flocks, and possessions of herds, and a great body of servants. And the Pelishites envied him. And the Pelishites had stopped all the wells which his father's servants had dug in the days of Abraham his father, and filled them with dirt. And Abimelech said to Yishak, go away from us, for you are much mightier than we. So Yishak went from there, and pitched his tent in the Wadi Gerar, and dwelt there. And Yishak dug again the wells of the water which they had dug in the days of Abraham his father, for the Pelishites had stopped them up after the death of Abraham. And he called them by the names which his father had given them. But when Yishak's servants dug in the wadi and found a well of running water there, the herdsmen of Gerar strove with Yishak's herdsmen, saying, the water is ours. And he called the name of the well Isaac, because they strove with him. And they dug another well, and they strove over that one too. And he named its name Sitnah. And he moved from there and dug another well, and they did not strive over it. And he called its name Rehoboth, and said, for now Yah has made room for us, and we shall bear fruit in the land. And from there he went up to Beersheba. And Yah appeared to him the same night, and said, I am Yah of your father Abraham. Do not fear, for I am with you, and shall barak you and increase your seed for my servant Abraham's sake. And he built an altar there and called on the name of Yah, and he pitched his tent there, and the servants of Yishak dug a well there. And Abimelech came to him from Gerar with Ahuzeth, one of his friends, and Pico, the commander of his army. And Yishak said to them, Why have you come to me, seeing you have hated me and have sent me away from you? But they said, You have clearly seen that Yah is with you. We have clearly seen that Yah is with you. And we said, Please let there be an oath between us, between you and us, and let us make a covenant with you. And they that you do no evil to us, as we have not touched you, and as we have done only good toward you, and have sent you away in peace. You are now barak by Yah. And he made them a feast, and they ate and drank. And they rose early in the morning and swore an oath with one another. And Yishak let them go, and they departed from him in peace. And on the same day it came to be that the servants of Yishak came and informed him about the well which they had dug, and said to him, We have found water. So he called it Shiva. Therefore the name of the city is Beersheba to this day. And when Esau was 40 years old, he took as wives Yehudith, the daughter of Beri the Hittite, and Basmath, the daughter of Elam the Hittite. And there were a bitterness of spirit to Yishak and Rivkah. And it came to be, when Yishak was old, and his eyes were too dim to see, that he called Esau his elder son, and said to him, My son. And he answered him, Here I am. And he said, So now I am old, I do not know the day of my death. Now then, please take your weapons, your quiver and your bow, and go out to the field and hunt wild game for me, and make me a tasty dish such as I love, and bring it to me to eat, in order that my being may barak you before I die. And Rivkah heard when Yishak spoke to Esau his son, and Esau went to the field to hunt wild game and to bring it. And Rivkah spoke to Yaakov her son, saying, See, I heard your father speak to Esau your brother, saying, Bring me wild game, and make me a tasty dish to eat, and barak you in the presence of Yah before my death. And now, my son, listen to my voice according to what I command you. Please go to the flock and bring me 2 choice young goats, and I make a tasty dish from them for your father, such as he loves. And you shall take it to your father, and he shall eat it, so that he might barak you before his death. And Jacob said to Rivkah's mother, See, Esau my brother is a hairy man, I am a smooth-skinned man. What if my father touches me? Then I shall be like a deceiver in his eyes, and shall bring a curse on myself, and not a barakah. But his mother said to him, Let your curse be on me, my son. Only obey my voice, and go get them for me. And he went and fetched them, and brought them to his mother. And his mother made a tasty dish, such as his father loved. And Rivkah took the best garments of her elder son Esau, which were with her in the house, and put them on Yaakov her younger son. And she put the skins of the young goats on his hands, and on the smooth part of his neck. Then she gave the tasty dish and bread which she had prepared into the hand of her son Yaakov. And he went to his father and said, My father. And he said, Here I am. Who are you, my son? And Yaakov said to his father, I am Esau, your firstborn. I have done as you said to me. Please rise, sit, and eat of my wild game, so that your being might barak me. But Yishak said to his son, How is it that you have found it so quickly, my son? And he said, Because Yah brought it to me. Then Yishak said to Yaakov, Please come near, so that I feel you, my son, whether you truly are my son Esau or not. And Yaakov went near to Yishak his father, and he felt him, and said, The voice is the voice of Yaakov, but the hands are the hands of Esau. And he did not recognize him, for the hands were hairy, like his brother Esau's hands, and he barak him. And he said, Are you truly my son Esau? And he said, I am. And he said, bring it near to me and let me eat of my son's wild game, so that my being might barak you. So he brought it near to him, and he ate. And he brought him wine, and he drank. And his father Yishak said to him, please come near and kiss me, my son. And he came near and kissed him, and he smelled and the smell of his garments, and barak him, and said, see, the smell of my son is like the smell of a field which Yah has barak. And Yah give you of the dew of the Shamaim, of the fatness of the earth, and plenty of grain and wine. Let people serve you, and nations bow down to you. Be master over your brothers, and let your mother's sons bow down to you. Cursed be those cursing you, and barak be those baraku you. And it came to be, as soon as Yishak had finished barakah Yaakov, and Yaakov had hardly left the presence of Yishak his father, that Esau his brother came in from his hunting. And he too had made a tasty dish and brought it to his father, and said to his father, let my father rise and eat of his son's wild game, so that your being might barak me. And his father Ishak said to him, who are you? And he said, I am your son, your firstborn Esau. Then Ishak shuddered with exceedingly great trembling, and said, who was it then who hunted wild game and brought it to me? I ate all of it before you, and I have barak him. Even so, he is Baruch. And when Esau heard the words of his father, he cried with an exceedingly great and bitter cry, and said to his father, barak me too, O my father. And he said, your brother came with deceit and took your barakah. And Esau said, was his name then called Yaakov? For he has caught me by the heel these 2 times. He took my birthright, and see, now he's taken my barakah. And he said, have you not reserved a barakah for me? Then Yishak answered and said to Esau, see, I have made him your master, and all his brothers I have given to him as servants, and I have sustained him with grain and wine. And what then shall I do for you, my son? And Esau said to his father, have you only one barakah, my father? Barak me too, O my father. And Esau lifted up his voice and wept. And Ishak his father answered and said to him, see, your dwelling is of the fatness of the earth, and of the dew of the Shamaim from above. And by your sword you are to live and serve your brother. And it shall be, when you grow restless, that you shall break his yoke from your neck. And Esau hated Yaakov because of the barakah with which his father barak him. And Esau said in his heart, the days of mourning for my father draw near. Then I am going to kill my brother Yaakov. And the words of Esau, her older son, were reported to Rivkah, and she sent and called Yaakov, her younger son, and said to him, see, your brother Esau comforts himself concerning you to kill you. And now, my son, listen to my voice and rise, flee to my brother Laban in Haran, and stay with him a few days until your brother's wrath turns away, until your brother's displeasure turns away from you, and he forgets what you have done to him. And I shall send and bring you from there. Why should I be bereaved of you both in one day? And Rivkah said to Yashik, I am disgusted with my life because of the daughters of Heth. If Yaakov takes a wife from the daughters of Heth, like these who are the daughters of the land, what is my life to me? Chapter 28. And Yishak called Yaakov and barak him, and commanded him, and said to him, do not take a wife from the daughters of Canaan. Arise, go to Padan Aram, to the house of Bethuel, your mother's father, and take a wife for yourself from there, for the daughters of Laban, your mother's brother, from the daughters of Laban, your mother's brother, and El Shaddai barak you, and make you bear fruit, and increase you, and you shall become an assembly of peoples, and give you the barakah of Abraham to you and your seed with you, so that you inherit the land of your sojournings, which Yah gave to Abraham. So Yishak sent Yaakov away, and he went to Padan Aram to Laban, son of Bethuel the Aramean, the brother of Rivkah, the mother of Yaakov and Esau. And Esau saw that Yishak had Barak Yaakov and sent him away to Paddan Aram to take himself away from there, and that as he Barak him, he gave him a command saying, "Do not take a wife from the daughters of Canaan." And that Yaakov had obeyed his father and his mother and had gone to Paddan Aram. So Esau saw that the daughters of Canaan did not please his father Yishak, and Esau went to Ishmael and took Mahalath, the daughter of Ishmael, Abraham's son, the sister of Nebaioth, to be his wife, besides the wives he had. And Yaakov went out from Beersheba and went toward Haran. And he came upon a place and stopped over for the night, for the sun was down. And he took one of the stones of that place and put it at his head, and he lay down in that place to sleep. And he dreamed and saw a ladder standing on the earth, and its top reached the Shamaim, and saw messengers of Yah going up and coming down on it. And see, Yah stood above it and said, "I am Yah of Abraham your father, and the and of Yashik. The land on which you are lying, I give it to you and your seed, and your seed shall be as the dust of the earth, and ye shall break forth. You shall break forth to the west, and to the east, and to the north, and to the south, and all the clans of the earth shall be Barak in you and your seed. And see, I am with you, and shall guard you wherever you go, and shall bring you back to this land. For I am not going to leave you until I have done what I have spoken to you." And Yaakov awoke from his sleep and said, "Truly, Yah is in this place, and I did not know it." And he was afraid and said, "How awesome is this place! This is none other than the house of Yah, and this is the gate of the Shamaim." And Yaakov rose early in the morning and took the stone that he had put at his head, put it up as a standing column, and poured oil on top of it. And he called the name of that place Bethel. However, the name of that city had been Luz previously. And Yaakov made a vow, saying, "Seeing Yah is with me, and has kept me in this way that I am going, and has given me bread to eat and a garment to put on, when I have returned to my father's house in peace, and Yah shall be my Elohim." I don't like that word Elohim. I've seen research about it. I don't really like it. I'm sorry, I just need to interject that. That's why I say Yah instead. Okay, then the stone which I had placed as a standing column shall be Yah's house, and of all that you give me, I shall certainly give a tenth to you. 29. And Yaakov moved on and came to the land of the people of the east. And he looked and saw a well in the field, and saw 3 flocks of sheep lying by it. For out of that well they watered the flocks. And a large stone was on the well's mouth, and all the flocks would be gathered there. Then they would roll the stone from the well's mouth, and water the sheep, and put the stone back in its place on the well's mouth. Okay, so Jacob said to them, "My brothers, where are you from?" And they said, "We are from Haran." And he said to them, "Do you know Laban, son of Nahor?" And they said, "We know him." Okay. So he said to them, "Is he well?" And they said, "Well. And see, his daughter Rahel is coming with the sheep." And he said, "See, it is still high day, not the time for the livestock to be gathered together. Water the sheep and go and feed them." But they said, "We are not allowed until all the flocks are gathered together, and they have rolled the stone from the well's mouth. Then we shall water the sheep." While he was still speaking with them, Rahel came with her father's sheep, and she was a shepherdess. And it came to be, when Jacob saw Rahel, the daughter of Laban, his mother's brother, and the sheep of Laban, his mother's brother that Yaakov went near and rolled the stone from the well's mouth and watered the flock of Laban, his mother's brother. And Yaakov kissed Rahel and lifted up his voice and wept. And when Yaakov told Rahel that he was her father's relative and that he was Rivka's son, she ran and told her father. And it came to be when Laban heard the report about Yaakov's, his sister's son, that he ran to meet him and embraced him, kissed him, and brought him to his house. Then he told Laban all these matters, and Laban said to him, "You are indeed my bone and my flesh." And he stayed with him for a month. Then Laban said to Yaakov, "Because you are my relative, should you therefore serve me for naught? Let me know, what should your wages be?" And Laban had 2 daughters. The name of the elder was Leah, and the name of the younger was Rahel. And Leah's eyes were weak, but Rahel was lovely of form and appearance. And Yaakov loved Rahel. So he said, "Let me serve you 7 years for Rahel, your younger daughter." And Laban said, "It is better that I give her to you than I should give her to another man. Stay with me." So Yaakov served 7 years for Rahel, and they seemed to him but a few days because of the love he had for her. Then Yaakov said to Laban, "Give me my wife, for my days are completed, and let me go into her." And Laban gathered all the men of the place and made a feast. And it came to be in the evening that he took Leah, his daughter, and brought her to Yaakov, and he went into her. And Laban gave his female servant Zilpah to his daughter Leah as a female servant. And in the morning it came to be that, see, it was Leah. So he said to Laban, "What is this you have done to me? What was it not for Rahel that I served you? Why then have you deceived me?" And Laban said, "It is not done this way in our place, to give the younger before the firstborn. Complete the week of this one, then we give you this one too, for the service which you shall serve with me still another 7 years." And Yaakov did so and completed her week. Then he gave him his daughter Rahel to as wife. And Laban gave his female servant Bilhah to his daughter Rahel as a female servant. And he also went into Rahel, and he also loved Rahel more than Leah. And he served with Laban still another 7 years. And Yah saw that Leah was unloved, and he opened her womb, but Rahel was barren. And Leah conceived and bore a son, and she called his name Reuben, for she said, "For Yah has looked on my affliction, because now my husband is going to love me." And she conceived again and bore a son, and said, "Because Yah has heard that I am unloved, he gave me this son too." And she called his name Shimon. And she conceived again and bore a son, and said, "Now this time my husband is joined to me, because I have borne him 3 sons." So his name was called Levi. And she conceived again and bore a son, and said, "Now I praise Yah." So she called his name Yehudah, and she ceased bearing. And chapter 30. And when Rahel saw that she bore Yaakov no children, Rahel envied her sister, and said to Yaakov, "Give me children, or else I am going to die." And Yaakov's displeasure burned against Rahel, and he said, "Am I in the place of Yah, who has withheld from you the fruit of the womb?" And she said, "See my female servant Bilhah, go into her, and let her bear over my knees, and let me be built up from her as well." So she gave him Bilhah, her female servant, as wife, and Yaakov went into her. And Bilhah conceived and bore Yaakov a son. And Rahel said, "Yah has rightly ruled my case, and has also heard my voice in giving me a son." So she called his name Dan. And Rahel's female servant Bilhah conceived again and bore Yaakov a second son. And Rahel said, "With great wrestlings I have wrestled with my sister and have overcome." So she called his name Naphtali. And Leah saw that she had ceased bearing, and she took Zilpah, her female servant, and gave her to Yaakov his wife. And Leah's female servant Zilpah bore Yaakov a son, and Leah said, "What luck!" So she called his name Gad, and Leah's female servant Zilpah bore Yaakov a second son, and Leah said, "I am Baruch, for the daughters shall call me Baruch." So she called his name Asher, and Reuben went in the days of wheat harvest and found love apples in the field and brought them to his mother Leah. And Rahel said to Leah, "Please give me some of your son's love apples." But she said to her, "It is a small matter that you have taken away my son. Would you take away my son's love apples too?" And Rahel said, "Therefore let him lie with you tonight for your son's love apples." And when Jacob came out of the field in the evening, Leah went out to meet him and said, "Do come in to me, for indeed I have hired you with my son's love apples." And he lay with her that night. And Yah listened to Leah, and she conceived and bore Yaakov a fifth son. And Leah said, "Yah has given me my hire, because I have given my female servant to my husband." So she called his name Issachar. And Leah conceived again and bore Yaakov a sixth son. And Leah said, "Yah has presented me with a good present. Now my husband is going to dwell with me, because I have borne him six sons." So she called his name Zebulun. And afterward she bore a daughter, and named her name Dinah. And Yah remembered Rahel, and listened to her and opened her womb. And she conceived and bore a son. And she said, "Yah has taken away my reproach." So she called his name Joseph, and said, "Has Yah has added to me another son." It came to be, when Rahel had borne Joseph, that Jacob said to Laban, "Send me on my way to go to my own place and to my land. Give me my wives and my children, for whom I have served you, and let me go, for you yourself know my service which I have done for you." And Laban said to him, "If I have found favor in your eyes, please stay, for I have diligently watched that Yah has brought me for your sake." And he said, "Name me your wages, and I give it." So he said to him, "You know how I have served you, and how your livestock has been with me. Um, for the little you had before I came has increased greatly, and Yah has brought you since my coming. But now, when I am to provide for my own house too, But now, when am I to provide for my own house too?" And he said, "What do I give you?" And Jacob said, "Give me not. If you do this for me, I shall again feed and guard your flocks. Let me pass through all your flock today, removing from there all the speckled and spotted sheep, and all the black ones among the lambs, and the spotted and speckled among the goats. And these shall be my wages, and my righteousness shall answer for me in the time to come. When you come concerning my wages, every one that is not speckled and spotted among the goats, and black among the lambs, it is stolen if it is with me." And Laban said, "See, let it be according to your word." And on that day he put aside the male goats that were speckled and spotted, and all the female goats that were speckled and spotted, every one that had some white in it, and all the black ones among the lambs, and gave them into the hand of his sons. And he put 3 days' journey between himself and Jacob, and Jacob fed the rest of the bound's flocks. And Jacob took for himself rods of green poplar, and of the almond and chestnut trees, peeled white strips in them, and exposed the white which was in the rods. And he put the rods which he had peeled before the flocks in the gutters and the watering trough, where the flocks came to drink, and they conceived when they came to drink. So the flocks conceived before the rods, and the flocks brought forth streaks speckled and spotted. And Jacob separated the lambs, and made the flocks face toward the street, and all the black in the flock of Laban. But he put his own flocks by themselves, and did not put them with Laban's flock. And it came to be, whenever the strong ones of the flock conceived, that Yaakov placed the rods before the eyes of the flock in the gutters, so they would conceive among the rods. But when the flocks were weak, he did not put them in, so the weak ones were Laban's, and the strong ones Yaakov's. Thus the man increased very much, and had many flocks, and female and male servants, and camels and donkeys. Chapter 31. And he heard the words of Laban's sons, saying, Yaakov has taken away all that was our father's, and from what belonged to our father he has made all his wealth. And Yaakov would look at the face of Laban and see that it was not toward him as before. And Yah said to Yaakov, return to the land of your fathers and to your relatives. I am with you. And Yaakov sent and called Rahel and Leah to the field to his flock. And he said to them, I see your father's face, that it is not toward me as before, but Yah of my father has been with me. And you know that I have served your father with all my strength. Yet your father has deceived me and changed my wages 10 times. But Yah did not allow him to do evil to me. When he said this, the speckled are your wages. Then all flocks were speckled. And when he said this, that the streets are your wages, then all the flocks were streaked. So Yah has taken away the livestock of your father and given it to me. And it came to be at the time when the flocks conceived, that I lifted my eyes and looked in a dream and saw the rams which leaped upon the flocks were streaked, speckled, and molted. And the messenger of Yah spoke to me in a dream, saying, Yaakov. And I said, here I am. And he said, lift up your eyes now and see, all the rams which leap on the flocks are streaked, speckled, and molted. For I have seen all that Laban was doing to you. I am Yah of Bethel, where you anointed the standing column, and where you made a vow to me. Now rise up, get out of this land, and return to your land, to the land of your relatives. And Rahel and Leah answered and said to him, do we still have any portion or inheritance in our father's house? Are we not reckoned by him as strangers? For he has sold us, and also entirely consumed our silver. For all the wealth which Yah has taken from our father are ours and our children's. Now then, do whatever Yah has told you. So Yaakov rose and put his sons and his daughters on camels, and he drove off all his livestock and all his possessions which he had acquired, his property of livestock which he had acquired in Padan Aram, to go to his father Ishak and the land of Canaan. And when Laban had gone to shear his sheep, Rahel stole the house idols that were her father's, and Yaakov stole the heart of Laban the Aramean, because he did not inform him that he was about to flee. And he fled with all that he had, and he rose up and passed over the river and headed toward the mountains of Gilead. And on the third day Laban was told that Yaakov had fled. Then he took his brothers with him and pursued him for 7 days' journey. Okay, and he overtook him in the mountain of Gilead. But in a dream by night, Yah came to Laban the Aramean and said to him, guard yourself, that you do not speak to Yaakov either good or evil. Then Laban overtook Yaakov. Now Yaakov had pitched his tent in the mountains, and Laban with his brothers pitched in the mountains of Gilead. And Laban said to Yaakov, what have you done, that you have stolen my heart and given my daughters off like captives taken with the sword? Why did you flee secretly and deceive me and not inform me? And I would have sent you away with joy and songs, with tambourine and lyre, and you did not allow me to kiss my sons and my daughters. Now you have been foolish to do this. It is in the power of my hand to do evil to you, but Yah of your father spoke to me last night, saying, guard yourself, that you do not speak evil. Do not speak to Yaakov either good nor evil. Neither good nor evil. Oh, sorry. share. Okay, and now you have gone because you greatly long for your father's house. But why did you steal my mighty ones? And Jacob answered and said to Laban, because I was afraid, for I said, lest you tear your daughters away from me. What with whomever you find your mighty ones, let him not live. In the presence of our brothers, see for yourself what is with me, and take it with you. Okay, for Jacob did not know that Rahel had stolen them, and Laban went into Jacob's tent, and into Leah's tent, and into the tents of the two female servants, but he did not find them. And he came out of Leah's tent and entered Rahel's tent. And Rahel had taken the house idols and put them in the camel's saddle and sat on them. And Laban searched all about the tent, but he did not find them. And she said to her father, let it not displease my master that I am unable to rise before you, for the way of women is with me. And he searched but did not find the house idols. And Jacob was wroth and contended with Laban. And Jacob answered and said to Laban, what is my transgression? What is my sin, that you have hotly pursued me? Now that you have searched all my goods, what have you found of all your household goods? Put it here before my brothers and your brothers, and let them decide between the two of us. All right. Thank you for listening.